Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi guys, welcome back to this exciting webinar. And today I have Mansoor. Mansoor is my good friend, and he and we have worked together on many projects, especially when I was in Sydney. And he has done PMP, PGMP, PFMP, you name it. He got all kind of certificate, and he also moved into Scaled Agile, and he built his capability in the Scaled Agile framework. So I will ask him to introduce himself, but before he get into that, let me give little background about who I am and who we are and why we are here. So my name is Dharam Singh, and I have been into the training and consultancy for more than 11-12 years now. I started in 2009, and it's a project management, program management, portfolio management. So I'm still within PMP, PGMP, PFMP space. And then I started a company called WeCare Project Management, and we have been doing training, not only PGMP, PFMP, PMP, but also Prince 2, ITIL, and Safe Agile framework. So that's what Mansoor going to talk about, and many other things we are doing. So that's something about me. And the today topic is very interesting. You know, when Mansoor shared with me that Dharam, I wanted to talk about something very interesting about Scale Agile. It's another Agile topic. But anyway, when he started talking about this topic, I got excited, and okay, I think why not we have a webinar and let other people enjoy the benefit of this particular knowledge you have. So I think you're going to love it. So one thing I like to highlight or appreciate that we all are going through very unknown situation, a very scary situation. If you are looking or following the numbers around the world, the COVID-19 has created so much problem to a lot of people. Not only of course your business market or your stock market is really performing really bad, and people are impacted, jobs are going away, everybody has to lock down, staying at home. So it is impacting almost everyone. And I'm encouraging my student or whoever I know to use this time to be more ready for the coming future, because we don't know what's going to happen when the COVID is finished or during the COVID time. We already seen in US millions of people are lining up for aid from the government, and that's scary itself. When you start seeing now, when they come back after few months, things may not be as rosy as it was a few months ago. So this is your opportunity to learn and be ready for the upcoming future, so that you are more ready with your certification. You already have experience. You go through the Scaled Agile framework certification, or PGMP, PFMP, whatever you need, we can help you with that. So anyway, so that's a little bit what's about us. I let Mansoor to talk about this topic. This is very interesting, and please pay attention. And we'll love to help you with your queries. So we have a question. You have opportunity to write questions. So as and when we feel like, please write questions, and I will read it. And as and when time comes, logical point, I will ask question to Mansoor.
Yeah.
All right, Mansoor, over to you.
Thank you, Dharam. Thanks for the lovely introduction. And as Dharam mentioned, we are cohorts. We've been working together for a very long time. I've been associated with WeCare from when it was started, right? And yeah, Dharam leads a lot of project program portfolio management trainings. And I remember my first webinar where we had a study group created in 2012 when I started my PGMP journey. That is where our association started. And yes, we've been communicating with each other from a very long time, and Dharam happened to move to the United States, right? So that's where the journey of Dharam and myself started, and along with WeCare. A little background about myself and my journey with SAFE. Okay, so as you know, my name is Mansoor. I've been working with a lot of different initiatives. Those initiatives include consulting and training, right? So consulting in digital space, in avionics space. I used to work in a company called EMC Data Storage Solutions, being part of PMI, right? And my journey with Agile started way back in 2009 when I was working as a program manager at EMC, right? So in 2008, 2009, I was working on one of the programs, and I was asked to attend a Scrum Master training. So this Scrum Master training actually changed my way of thinking, okay? And initially I did not like. So in a learner's journey, there are three steps, all right? One is shoe. Shoe is you're a beginner, right? So for every new concept or a new subject or a new domain, you start off with a learner, okay? You start liking the subject or disliking the subject and start your journey with that subject. And then the next step of the learning journey is how. That is, you start getting more deeper into the subject and start, mastering the concept of the subject and start using the concepts. And the last stage is re, R-I, re. Okay, these are all Japanese terms. Re is you're an expert, right? So how Dharam is an expert in PGMB space, right? So that's where you become an expert in that space and you can start bending your rules, right? And for the good, not for the bad, right? You know how to actually tailor the processes, tailor the methodologies, right, to the area. So when I started my journey about in Agile space, I was totally a novice. I did not know much. I did not know what Agile was. My world was all about project, program, portfolio management with all the strategic planning, with portfolio plans, project plans, program plans, benefit realization. So that was my world. And the moment I got introduced that minimum documentation or low documentation or no documentation, right? Working in small teams, 7 plus or minus 2, right? Suddenly, it was a shock for me. And I actually walked out of that Scrum Master class midway, thinking that it's not going to work. Then as I start managing my teams, all right, because there were some agile teams and some traditional project management teams, I started realizing the value of agile. Okay, so the value of agile was frequent communication, coordination, collaboration, right, innovation. So these points resonated, and I started with my agile journey first with PMI ACP, Scrum Master, PMI ACP, right? And then I started moving towards this journey. And 2012, 2013, 2013, Dean Leffingwell was here in Sydney to deliver a scaled agile program. So he introduced this concept in 2013. So I happened to be one of the first attendees. It was a class of 30. And then I started looking that this particular framework actually blends both traditional project management and agile, and it helps you scale. So that's why I started getting involved in scale agile framework, started contributing to the portfolio safe. SAFe 2.0 was quite weak in the portfolio area. I started contributing towards SAFe 3.0 towards the portfolio area, and I've been one of the regular contributors for Scaled Agile Academy. And now we are getting into the business agility. So SAFe 5.0 talks about business agility, and that's what I'm going to introduce this concept. So this business agility concept, when I presented to University of Sydney in 2015, okay, when I started my thesis, I was brushed aside, and I said, I was told that there's nothing called business agility. Okay, so yeah, so that then when I refined my topic, went back, and people started liking it, and now reality with this COVID-19, we all have become business agile in some way, some shape, or some format, right? Our normal way of working has been disrupted, right? And that's where we need to start looking from an agility perspective. Okay. All right. Let me begin. Please ask questions as required. All this information is available on scaledagilepFramework.com, right? You can always go have a look, right? And yeah, we can have more further conversations about it. Right. Good. Right. How do we thrive in this digital age? Okay. So the world has been moving at a rapid pace. Okay. So if you talk about the Industrial Revolution, yes, we can go back in our history with the Egyptian pyramids and Roman colosseums. They used project management to build their structures. But as things started evolving in the Industrial Revolution, right, which is from 1793 to 1801. Okay, that was the turning point when people started looking at whatever that type of automation those days, were working with machineries, working with, they started moving towards that direction. And then we had a age of steam and railways. So we are talking about railway mania, where people started building rails and networks and transportation, right? And that was a mania. Everyone got into it. Everyone wanted to have a train in their country. That happened between 1848 to 1850. That was the period. Then we had the age of steel and heavy engineering, right? So building up global infrastructure. The whole world started moving towards that direction. The Europe and USA, they came into action in this area. And then we had a period of post-war golden age, where we are talking about oil and mass production, correct? So we started moving into mass production, and 1971 onwards, the age of software and digitalization actually started. That's where we had a dot-com boom in 2000. I'm sure some of you might have been there. Housing bubbles, finances, right? So the world has been turning around, right? The world has been evolving around certain points, okay? And it is very important for us to be adaptive. And if we were not adaptive, we would have still been the caveman in the cave, right? Our brains would have been still working in our legacy minds and legacy systems. So it's all about revolution. So where do we go from here? What is the future? Okay. So the future is all the repetitive tasks are going to be automated. Everyone talks about artificial intelligence, right? So what does artificial mean? Artificial intelligence mean? It's not replacing people. It's not about replacing people. It's replacing the redundant work of the people. How can we optimize work? How can we remove duplicacies? How can we remove redundant work and utilize human brain for real core work? Okay, so that's where we are heading towards. Yes, I know it sounds interesting, where there is a day where my hologram comes to United States from Sydney to Dharam's class, and I happen to deliver a piece of a lecture in his class, or he comes to Sydney, his hologram comes to Sydney. Yes, these are all exciting. So one day, but are we prepared for this? No, we are not, right? So the world is slowly evolving, and now with this pandemic happening, now people will start thinking about how can we be agile in this age, right? How can we think new ways of working? How can we be more adaptable? Correct? Do we really need office spaces? Correct. So those things will start coming into place. Yeah, this was the turning point, as I said. So that's where the dot-com bubble internet mania happened. Now everyone has moved towards internet. So when it was started in 2000, people said, "Oh, who will go and log in and buy anything online?" Right? And I remember while I was in India at that time, there was a digital platform called India.com, which was built by uh, Microland Limited, right? And they sold it for quite a big amount, right? So everyone made their own money in that sort of time, and the internet was overvalued at that point of time, and everyone wanted to go digital. But after a certain period of time, we saw people move away from internet because they felt still physical shops and physical supermarkets were important. But now, as we go further, we are looking that really, why should we go for a grocery to buy when you feel that people are impacted by this virus, correct? So you never know that tomorrow we may have things like big digital boards on our airports, on our railway stations, on our bus stops, where you just take a picture and send it across right to the supermarket, and the grocery is delivered either in a train station or in your home place, right? So that those things can happen, and it's already happened in Korea. So yeah, South Korea has been doing that, where they have digitalized this whole environment. Okay? Right. So as the world is changing fast, John Carter made a very good statement. He said, you need to rethink about the organization. Okay. As the world is changing, you need to reconstruct your organization, right? Yes, hierarchies are there in legacy organizations. So do those hierarchy works? Do I need to wait for a senior leadership team for an approval, which can be approved one or two levels down? Okay, for a training, for example, for a scaled agile training, if you want to register and you need this training to be funded from your organization, should it go 2 levels, 3 levels up, where the person who's 4 levels up may not even understand or know who you are and what's the requirement of this training. Okay, so yes, we need to talk about structures, changing of structures. We need to talk about building parallel organization, okay, a parallel operating system for the business, correct? We need to have cultures, a change in culture, which talks about innovation, adaptation, teamwork, building high performing team, correct? Everyone needs to know what they do. And high performing team, guys and girls in the group, it is not built in a day. It takes time, as I'm sure you've read this in the project management world. Forming, norming, storming, forming, and then adjourning, right? So performing takes a lot of time for teams to get into the performing stage. And that's the beauty of Agile, where the team comes quickly into a performing stage, right? And they skip through all these processes. All right, so we started with one network. Okay, this is what it was. So we had a network and we had a group of people. Okay, think about this as your organization network or even a system, right? Say talks more from the software world, from the infrastructure world, but always related back to your organization. Okay, yes, we had customer centricity sitting somewhere in the corner. We knew there was a customer and we knew we had to deliver, right? Very rarely we involved this customer into our space, into our network. Okay, so we had a network, we had a contract in place, we had signed all the deliverables, all right, we had a charter, we had all these things in place, and we started the delivery, keeping customer in mind. Yes, we knew there was a customer, correct? But as things moved on, what happened was we started looking at the speed of innovation. Okay, we added hierarchies for stability of execution. Okay, so we started saying that, okay, this is the hierarchy. We have the teams from different areas, correct? And we still had customer centricity in mind. But as things progressed, right, we found there was a lot of layers created, a lot of hierarchies created, and the customer got lost in those hierarchies. Okay, so when I used to work at EMC, I'm giving you examples of EMC because that was my playground. That's where I worked, right? And that's where I learned everything. Okay, that's my place. So what happened was we had VMware, that is virtual machines. We had Cisco and we had EMC. When a customer entered the EMC environment with a problem, the problem was tossed around from VMware to EMC and EMC to Cisco. Okay? Then we said, no, this is not going to happen. And that's where business agility or concepts of business agility started. Why should we have three different layers or three different organizations presented to the customer? Why can't we have one face? Because when the customer buys a solution. Okay. So we are here not talking about trashing what we know or starting all over or reintroduce, but instead we are talking about reintroduce a second operating system which will be familiar and most successful for the entrepreneur. So we are talking about a dual operating system. Okay. So yes, let the hierarchies be, but how can we maximize, right? So now we started talking about, yes, these hierarchies, how they are linked, how we can make it more efficient, more stable, and customer centricity became a heart of everything, right? So that's where we started talking about business agility, where it becomes an imperative. So in business agility, the concepts which I cover is about decentralization of decisions. Okay, not all decisions can be centralized, not all decisions can be decentralized. How can we decentralize decision making? Correct. That's one topic which I'm going to cover. Right? What type of decision should senior leadership make versus what type of decision should the team make? Okay. So decisions which are frequent, right? The frequent making decisions like mergers, acquisitions, correct? That will still remain with the leadership team, correct? These are infrequent decisions. You don't make this every day. Infrequent decisions. The frequent decisions which are done on a day-to-day basis are actually done by the team. And in agile transformation programs, when I go to large organizations and corporates, I actually show them a video from David Marquardt. I suggest you to watch this. It is called Innoversity, INNO, not the university. It is Innoversity, university with an INN. Okay, Innoversity by David Marquardt, Marquet, Marquet. right? And it's a wonderful video. He talks about this multiple operating systems. He talks about how he empowered the team at the grassroots level so that they can make certain decisions and he can inform the team, correct? So that plays an important role where we have a dual operating system. Okay. Right. So yeah, so Scaled Agile Framework talks about that dual operating system. So we talk about value stream network, where we focus on delivering value to our customers, right? And we quickly build up hierarchies, okay, keeping some hierarchies intact, and the team comes together, works together, delivers values together, right? So that's where it is. And customer centricity becomes core of each element, right? Customer is the heart of everything. You need to involve your customer right from the beginning to the end, which we've been doing in most of our practices. But customer is so in business agility, we talk about design thinking. We also talk about customer journey mapping, right? So the whole journey is not a product journey or an organization journey. This journey is organization journey related to customer. Every business is a software. Now, this point from Dean Leffingwell, he's the creator of the Scaled Agile framework. He happens to be my mentor too in this journey. So this statement of software slightly pinches me. Okay, so this is a very strong statement, and I always debate this with Dean Leffingwell, saying that it's just not software, right? It could be software, it could be hardware, it could be humanware, correct? So I coined this term called humanware. It's just not software. So every business is software, hardware, humanware business, achieving the state of business agility. That means the entire organization is just not in development, correct? So software is an element. Okay, people are an element to developing. Hardware is an element. The product is an element. Okay, so how do we create innovative business solutions to move faster? Correct? How do we compete in this market? And how can we be proactive rather than being reactive? Correct? We saw the cost of being reactive. Correct? We saw it in the coronavirus. Yes, if you go back to YouTube and do a little search on Bill Gates' YouTube videos, he had warned us many years back that there could be a pandemic and the world is not ready for a pandemic. And how many of us did we really have coronavirus or a pandemic on our risk registers? Hardly any, or maybe none, or maybe very few, correct? I've not seen anything on anyone's risk register that there's going to be a pandemic, right? And so, yes, we need to be prepared for such situations and move ahead, correct? So business agility requires technical agility, which is your core agile and scrum concepts. Okay, so technical agility is talking about working in small teams, working in iterations, working in sprints, delivering value, right? And business level commitment to the value stream thinking. So in business agility, we do not talk about funding the projects. Okay, we do not talk about funding the projects. The funding of the projects is moved to funding to a value stream. Okay, so funding for a project means there's a start and stop of a fund. Okay, so I give Dharam $10 million to deliver a project. Okay, that's $10 million. Okay, with all the sizing and estimation, correct? But if I fund a value stream, I provide this funding at a periodic level, and I know whatever Dharam is actually delivering is delivering value to the customer, correct? And the customer has got an option to change his or her requirements as we go. So at portfolio management, we've made a change, which is the budgeting. The budgeting happens and this will be covered more in my Scaled Agile Framework class, which is scheduled for next week, Sunday and Monday, which I'm going to discuss later. So business solutions, yes, they are operations, they're legal, they're marketing, they're people, they're finance and development. We're not talking about technical agility here. We are talking about organization moving towards a business solution, which is agile, correct? And making the whole enterprise agile. Many organizations are great in technical agility, right? So they do Scrum, XP, Lean, Kanban very well. But the agility at a program and portfolio layer rarely exists. And this becomes a difficulty to have the dual operating system, correct? Teams going agile, and this is what happened at Airbus Helicopters. I did a consulting engagement at Airbus Helicopters where the teams were working in agile environments, but the leadership team did not believe what agile was all about. Okay, and they were not practicing agile. So yes, there we had to work on systems which could make things visible, involving people, right, removing the bottleneck in the process, and help people go to market fast. Any questions, guys, before I start getting more technical? Dharam, are there any questions around?
Yeah, we do have a question.
Please.
Let me read the question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, a few questions actually. So, okay. So can you please share the value and importance of acquiring scale agile skills for a professional who already have PMP, PGMP, PFMP, MOV, P3O, Prince2, CSM, my God,
Okay.
HGP, RMP, etc.
Okay.
And I'd like to know the value and how best get the scale agile.
Okay,
Get
I'll
into the
answer
best
this.
scale
Yeah.
agile.
Anything related to certifications, I'll answer in my last bit. Okay, thanks for that. Anything related to value of SAFe and certifications, yes, I'll park the question towards the end, definitely. And any other questions related to the topic, Dharam, please?
I think David is asking about, should the pandemic like COVID be seen as a risk register? Risk register should be only concerned with identified risk, as no one saw the COVID coming. My thought is that COVID is more like force majeure, okay? Unknown. Yeah. So
Yeah, absolutely. So it's an unknown. Yes, agree. It's a pandemic. It's an unknown. But they were triggers which always felt, at least the health industry, okay, not for an IT industry like yours or mine or any other industry, but the health industry could have at least seen, yes, it was a pandemic, we agree. But again, we ignored some warnings, David. Okay, that's what my thinking is. Okay, so at least in the health organizations where I have worked with, I have never ever discussed, because virus had come, these types of virus had come earlier, but we never even thought about looking at these at this magnitude. I'm sure the world will change and start looking at a different imperative now. So yeah, good point. Okay, let's move on. So let's go back to the topic and let's talk about the lean enterprise. Okay, and let's talk about what scaled agile framework is all about. Scaled agile framework, yes, definitely. This is a marketing slide. It helps customer engagement, time to market, 50% faster to market, 50% reduction in defect. Right, there are a lot of case studies. So if you go to scaledagile.com/case studies, you can see a series of case studies which talk about all this. I'm not getting too much into this, which is more. All right, so there are 4 configuration of SAFe, okay, and this is covered in the 2-day program quite detailed. Okay, this is where we go in much detail. The base level, okay, the beginning of the journey starts off with essential configuration, which is team level agility, right, and the program agility. Okay, so we talk about that level. Then at a portfolio level, we talk about team, program, and portfolio. Large solution, you add a customer to this environment, which is your partners or your third parties into this. And full configuration, we have portfolio, large solution SAFe, program, portfolio, and team level essential SAFe. Just a little overview before I start dwelling more deep into the business agility imperatives. Okay, I want to show where business agility sits. Okay, so yes, we've been doing great at team level, scrum masters, product owners. Program level, we have release train engineers, product management team, right? Business owners involved with customer centricity, design thinking. Design thinking is actually a contact sport, right? Not many people can do this really well, right? You need to start looking at different areas of a solution and start looking on how to design them. Okay? Solution train engineer is for large solution SAFe, where you involve your providers or your partners or people from your joint ventures who are building a part of solution. These are not your outsourced teams. These are not your outsourced teams. These are the people who work with you to build a solution. Okay. Say, for example, at Airbus helicopters, you have BAE systems. BAE systems, they build electronic components and they build technology components to Airbus helicopters, right? They have to be part of this solution train. And then we have the portfolio level SAFe, where we talk about epic owners, enterprise architects, and you have a strategic team, portfolio vision, and that trickles to the value stream, and the value stream is delivered using release train, agile release train with a continuous delivery pipeline. So in a full class, all these elements will be covered. Okay, so I go through all these elements in detail, starting from matrix, lean UX, system, community of practices, milestones, roadmaps, vision. Correct. So all this is covered into this particular class. All right. So the 7 core component of business agility. Now the fun starts. Correct. The first is lean portfolio management. Okay, so let's look into how lean portfolio management helps. Okay, the second is organization agility. The third is continuous learning culture. So how do we build in continuous learning culture, and how do our leadership, how do they have to be agile? We'll talk about team and technical agility, agile product delivery, and an enterprise solution. All this is involved around the customer centricity. Okay, so these are your 7 core concepts of business agility. Let's go one by one. Okay. Yeah, team and technical agility. Yes, we know they play a very important role in delivering solutions, right? So building up design thinking, building up projects and programs and solutions where enterprise delivers value to the customer. That's important. We saw that. Right? Team agility, yes, you have a scrum master, product owner. Yes, great. All that is great. So we know that organizations have scrum masters, product owners, and to just respond to the question which was just asked about, after all these certifications, what does SAFe add value, right? It will change your way of thinking. Okay. So yes, we have small teams, but how do we scale this up to a program? How do we get ourselves involved in a release train? So the analogy of a release train is very simple. Okay, so say for example, you're planning for a holiday when the lockdown gets lifted. Okay, for example, Dharam is planning for a holiday or a trip to Australia from the United States. Correct. So how soon will he start booking his tickets to Australia? In some cases, it could be 6 months, could be 3 months, could be a month, or sometimes it could be even 2 weeks. Correct. But if he has to take a train or a taxi to the airport, unless it's a weekend or it's some track works happening or some major time where it's like 3 a.m. in the morning, he doesn't have to think too much or book too ahead. So Agile Release Train talks about creating teams or group of people who actually come on board, okay, for delivering value to the customer, right? People from business, from product management team, from hardware, from software, from quality, from testing, from compliance, operations and security, they all come together, right? And they build in quality into the process, which is establishing flow. They ensure there are no bottlenecks. In a PI planning meeting, which you will see in the 2-day program, you have business leaders part of this particular Agile Release Train where they answer questions to the team. They set a vision. Okay, so the vision is set correctly. The critical success factors are set correctly. So everyone knows what this particular initiative means, how important this is, and what is the business value for this particular initiative. Correct. And how do we remove bottlenecks? So in that 2-day planning session, that bottlenecks are removed. The teams work together. They pay program. They work together as a group. They get to review each other's work. They have a collective code ownership, correct? So they have an ownership for the deliverables, correct? And they also have a definition of done, which is talking about what does this particular deliverable mean? What does it mean when it is done? So having those clear line items, clear definition of dones, okay, that helps in build quality. So in a traditional environment, yes, we have scope, time, and cost and quality being involved, but in the Agile imperative, we talk about value-driven delivery at the top of the triangle. Scope, time, and cost are one part of the equation, and then we build in quality. All right, good. Why Agile product delivery? Yes, it enhances or get right people balance here. So yes, we are working on solutions. So we focus on execution, And yes, by having agile product delivery, it helps us in strategic delivery or strategic execution. Okay. So yes, great strategies created, but somebody has to deliver that, right? And the people who are delivering needs to understand as to how these are delivered. So rapid business agility helps us the quick link between enterprise strategy and the delivery. Yes, product delivery. Yes, this pretty normal agile slide where we talk about continuous exploration, continuous integration, continuous deployment, and we release on demand. Okay, so the DevOps concept comes into picture. DevOps is a very large topic which I covered in those 2 days. So yeah, DevOps. And so here we are not talking about a release cycle, but we are saying the release should be ready. The product should be ready for a release continuously. Correct. So at every point of time, they have to. Enterprise solution delivery. Okay, so we are not looking at a solution from a product point of view, but we are looking at a whole enterprise solution where the whole enterprise comes together. They innovate, they experiment, they gain knowledge. They have disciplined engineers, various diverse discipline engineers come together. They develop together, they learn together, they evolve, they operate, they decommission large complex solutions, right? So yes, the world is full of complex systems, right? And it's very important for us, even in a project where there are humans involved, it becomes complex because no two people are alike, right? So my thinking is different to your thinking, and your thinking is different to someone else's thinking. And no two siblings are alike. Okay, there are no two siblings who are alike. So enterprise solution delivery plays a very important role here, correct? And in enterprise solution delivery, we talk about a solution intent, which can be fixed and which can be variable. Fixed part of the solution intent is more related to the compliance, correct? So we need to see what areas can be fixed and what areas can be flexed. Yes, if you have some solution intent which comes from a bank saying that, okay, these are my mandatory requirements, or these are my non-functional requirements, or compliance related compliance related requirements. Okay, can we fix them? Okay, and what is the variability of the solution? How can we change the solution based on? Because every time variability adds a lot of stress to the business and the organization. If you keep changing your roadmaps, if you keep changing your product every time, it's a challenge. And if you fix it and don't change it, the customer will not use it, because at a over period of time, the product becomes redundant and the product does not get evolved. Okay, so you need to have a balance, a striking balance between fixing the solution intent and having a variability in your solution intent, right? And this will help evolve continuous live systems. Okay, so you continuously evolve, deploy, get a feedback, make changes, to all the cyber physical system and other systems. And when we talk about cyber physical systems or networks, it doesn't mean that you're only doing IT projects. Business agility and scaled agile framework works for even non-tech industry. Okay, so there are cases out there in the scaled agile framework which talks about how it works in non-tech industry. For example, Post Australia has done a great job, right? Post Australia has done a great job in moving towards scaled agile framework, business agility. Telstra has done a great job. So if you go to the scaledagileparamework.com, you will see a lot of case studies how organizations have continuously evolved. Why lean portfolio management? Yes, organizations plan well, great planning, but when it comes to execution, many organizations fail. Okay, great strategies created from leadership team, but many of these strategies, when it comes to the execution, fails. The reason for this failure is because it is not communicated well downstream. People at the top create strategies in silos or in departments. Okay, when it comes to the team working at the bottom, they don't understand what it is. Or by the time it is communicated, right, there's a lot of message lost in motion, correct? So the message does not get correctly translated to the team who are into the execution stage, correct? So that is where a high level of innovation and dissemination of your strategic information to the program and the portfolio level and make everyone work together as a core team plays a very, very important role, right? So not only there should be a top-down approach of strategy execution where the people are asked to work on a strategy, but there should be a feedback received from the execution towards actually refining the strategy. So it's a two-way street. So strategy execution is a two-way stream. Yes, you start from the top, goes down, trickles down to the programs and the teams. And from the teams, the input has to be taken so that you go back and take a look at your vision, mission, and strategic. I'm talking about vision to a particular product or a business, right? You have to go back and take a look at your strategies and see if you need to realign your strategies to enable delivery. Great. So in one of my engagements at Airbus Helicopters, I was asked to design a strategic plan. And when I go to the organization, I just find there are a few people. I just find a few people part of this. Just find two people who are part of this strategic delivery, strategic planning meeting. But once I started asking them, they said, "No, it's this is the way how we do." We had to get other people from different business units to create strategies so that they own up, right? So when you have people own up the strategy, it works much better. You have an ownership rather than people just working in one room and just create a strategy and push it to the execution throat. Correct. So that's where it's very important to involve the right people, because if there is one person, even from the management team, who does not agree with the strategy, they have to open up and speak during that forum. Correct. If you have this one person who is an important stakeholder or a manager or a head of a department who goes to his or her team and starts talking about what happened in that meeting and how he does not believe in the strategy, guess what will happen? You'll have 100, 200 other people who report to this person not aligned with the strategy. Correct? So when you see a leader not aligned with the strategy, the team also get disoriented and they start moving up. Correct? So it's very important to clarify, to get people in the room who create strategy and strategic planning to have one view, one vision before they move. I can talk about this topic for weeks together, right? This is my favorite topic. I teach this topic in university for 12 weeks. So I love this topic, but yeah, due to the constraints, I have to be. Lean portfolio management, we'll talk about strategic and investment funding, lean governance, lean portfolio operations. You might have heard of lean PMOs, lean agile PMOs, okay? So we build a lean agile PMO in one of the organizations, correct? So lean agile PMO talks about the flexibility in a PMO, correct? Yes, we need to have templates. Can the templates be scaled down, scaled up, right? What type of people do add? Probably one day I can talk about agile PMOs as a separate topic. Okay, that could be a next webinar series in a month or two. Okay, so probably that's a very good topic to talk about agile PMOs. I've been doing a lot of research on agile PMOs and governance in agile PMO. Correct? That could be a very interesting topic to talk next. Organization agility, yes, enterprise simply cannot respond to sufficient challenges without enterprise agility. Organizations still, they just follow the traditional practices. I'm not saying you should dump your traditional practices, but I'm saying that yes, along with traditional practices, there should be an operating system which help the organization balance and work based on situations. And just an example about this balancing, at EMC, we used to have a team called Project Management Competency Center. And this Project Management Competency Center's job was to see how they could classify projects between traditional and agile and blend, if there is a blend, so that how can they blend traditional and agile environment. Many people in the world, just a caveat here, many people in the world, they either think there's only traditional, nothing other than traditional. Some people think it's agile, nothing other than agile. I call them as traditional Nazis or agile Nazis. Either of them is wrong. Okay, so every project is unique. Okay, some require traditional practices. Fine, go for it. With some practices of agile to be included. Some projects can go pure agile with some traditional practices there. Right? And some projects can go blended. So it's very important to have an open mind towards all different initiatives and different methodologies in place and see how they actually work. At the end of the day, whether you're talking about agile or waterfall or traditional, at the end of the day, there is a customer who's waiting for a solution. And the customer does not bother about what methodology we use, correct? The customer is bothered about delivering value to the customer, okay? Because at the end of the day, the customer is the boss. The customer pays you money for delivering. Okay. Yeah. Organization agility is built on House of Lean with SAFe principles, Agile manifesto, lean thinking people, right? Reducing waste wherever possible, reducing the delay time, uh, you know, see the speed for delivery, how can you remove latency? And in this area, I normally show a video about how there was a process improvement in a Formula One racing car. You could search this on YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and search Formula One racing 1950 to 2000, right? It shows you how things actually changed, how the processes changed, how the system changed, right? How did you have people working together as a team? Instead of a 1 minute pit stop, correct? The pit stop was reduced to just about 6 seconds or 7 seconds. How did they improve the process? How did they improve the system, right? So that is where organization agility comes to picture, where you have lean thinking people, agile teams, they all work together, they all have one focus, they all have one area to think about, right? They have a clear vision, they all have a clear commitment, they adapt quickly, they change based upon scenarios, and they move forward. And they also pivot. Okay, when I say pivot, they stop and they think, how can we move further? And when there is a failure, they jump and they move to the next level. Continuous learning culture is a key, right? So we all are long life learners, correct? So that's why we all are here today on a Sunday in Australia and Saturday in other parts of globe. We are still here in the early hours. For some people it's very late, for some people it's very early, right? Why we are here? We are here because we have a continuous learning culture, correct? We all must evolve. We all must have a culture of continuous learning, right? The day we stop learning, the day uh, we stop growing, right? So we need to have that continuous learning, whether it is with our teams, whether it is with our business, whether it's with our customers, right? So the continuous learning process, and this continuous learning process happens at every stage, and we need to build that. Continuous learning, you need to have a shared vision. You need to have a personal mastery. Okay, so personal mastery is very important. So if you find someone playing a violin or a guitar on a subway, which is quite unlikely now in these times, right? What is that person doing? That person actually is building mastery. When you do a session over a period of time, over and over and over and over again, what are you doing? You're building mastery, correct? Team learning, okay? So team coming together, learning together, having mental models, okay? How learning mental models help. Having system thinking, thinking about a big picture, looking at a perspective from a big picture and then start drilling deeper, that's important. And how these systems work with each other, how are these systems interrelated, correct? So that's important. Relentless improvement, focus on a constant sense of danger, right? So constant sense of danger talks about, yes, what happens if we don't do it now? Always keeping ourselves on the toe, right? So look from a sense that there is a danger which comes in. Always be prepared for dangers. Optimize as a whole, right? Uh, you need to see the big picture. Problem-solving culture as a team. Do not make your teams babysit. So if they have a problem, they should come with a probable solution. Reflect on key milestones. Fact-based improvements. So plan, do, check, adjust. Okay, so that's important. Plan, do, check, adjust. There should be a culture of innovation. So culture of innovation. Innovation is a very great topic. Probably we can talk about innovation in a different webinar altogether. Correct. So you have people who innovate, time, space, go and see. You feedback and experiment. Pivot without mercy or guilt. Pivot without mercy or guilt is you need to stop. You need to think. It's pivoting is like a jump board, right? So if there is something which happens and you're in the lowest point of your career or phase, we all have been through this. Can you pivot? Can you hit the reset button? Can you jump from there? Correct? And innovation ribbons, where you have small pockets of innovation happening, to improve. So if you ask your team, what is one thing you can improve in their way of work, right? Pick that as an innovative improvement, and then you can start working on it, right? So that's innovation. And for some organizations, I've built innovation cycle. So in my consulting work for one of the health organization, I built an innovation cycle which spoke about, yes, they did have funding, but how they could utilize and get IPs more quicker and faster. Agile leadership.
Quick reminder.
Yeah.
Sorry, quick reminder. We have 8 minutes to go.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, I think yeah, that's fine. Okay. So agile leadership. Yes, agile leadership plays a very important role where leadership is about empowering people. Okay, that could be a separate topic by itself. Lean leadership talks about leading change, leading by examples, decentralization of decision making, authenticity, right? Moving away from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. Okay, that is very important to leaders and enabler. This could be a separate webinar by itself as agile leadership as a separate topic itself, right? So yeah, for this you can watch the video, as I said, David Marcourt's video. It's a very, very interesting video. The management challenge is you can't delegate such responsibilities, correct? So it's very important for us as a management to not delegate these responsibilities, but take this as an ownership, right? And actually move forward. So it's very important for us to empower people and to get our teams working together. Okay. All right, that's the last slide. Okay, it's not enough for the management to just commit itself for productivity, but they need to. So management responsibility cannot be delegated. Okay, it comes with a pinch of salt, and it comes with a lot of responsibility. Okay. So yeah, this concludes my session. So you can actually measure and grow business agility. So we have some self-assessment tools provided, so we can know. We can actually know how agile our organization is, how are we doing in business agility, right? So that comes part of the program. So we have tools to measure business agility. We have tools which we do self-assessment, come up with radar charts, talking about team agility, building quality, so on and so forth. This is just a picture from a radar chart which are from the tools. Okay, so yeah, this concludes the session, correct? And on Sunday, 26th April and 27th April, Monday, starting from
Actually, that is
yeah,
Saturday and Sunday for this
yeah,
part of the world.
this part of the
United
world,
States.
correct? Yeah, for United States, going to be Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, it's going to be 9 a.m. start time. We can adjust the start time. So 9 a.m. Australian time is the start time. So please contact Dharam for further information. He'll be more than happy to share. There is an early bird until 23rd of April. It's a 2-day full class with practical example, and it'll be really fun. Okay, so you'll be seeing a lot of different perspectives, a lot of different angles, which I have not covered in this class due to the time.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone.
So,
I hand it off to Dharam now. Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple of questions, Mansoor, if you can see on your screen.
Yeah.
And if you can answer them.
Okay, let me go to the questions quickly. Questions.
So, the question is SAFe is similar to program management. What would be the best approach for running the SAFe program to bring a number of SAFe Scrum projects underway into one manageable framework?
Yeah, so that's where we talk about an agile release train. So agile release train is a group of projects coming together under one umbrella. So that's what release train engineer does. Okay, so an RTE, the role of an RTE is to get them all together. So what you need to do is, number one, have a senior leadership buy-in, correct? And then get your senior leadership on board, and then look which initiatives can come under this, or which teams can come under this particular initiative, right? So that's where it is. So, Dharam, I can't see the questions, so can
okay, that's fine. I will read it for you.
Yeah.
Next question: how long does it take to go through the SAFe 5.0 course? Okay, how long it is? I think 2 days. You said
it's a 2 days course, and you need about 2 weeks preparation. It all depends upon your understanding about concepts of agile. So if you have strong Scrum and team level agile concept, probably within 3 weeks you could do an exam. So 2 days is the program, and from the day of the end of the program, you got 30 days to certify yourself. And it's a web-based, home-based exam. So it's a 1.5 hour exam, and it's got 45 questions. Yeah, please. Next question.
And the cost we already mentioned here. I think the cost, Mansoor, is really reasonable.
Yeah, it
given
includes
that it's covering the exam. It's covering the exam fees, isn't it?
Yes, it's covering the membership for 1 year plus the exam fees. Okay, so $100 is exam and membership fees, which is already included in this. So yeah, from what you can see in the screen, it is less $100.
And the early bird price, so make sure you don't lose this one. If you can tell us in today or tomorrow, that will, it will be very good for you because you can block your seats. So okay, let me see a couple of more questions, Mansoor. What will the trainer share the presentation slides? It will be great for us to have a read after the great webinar.
Thank you. So the video recording will be shared. Unfortunately, Scaled Agile Framework does not allow us to share the slides until you register for a class. Okay, so when you register for a class, you get these slides, okay, part of your package in a PDF format. That's where we share the slides. For this, you'll get video. Okay, so you can go through the video. And if there's something, you can always contact me. Yeah, please. Next.
All right, that's it for the question. And I think
the last question.
Learned a lot from.
Sorry, Dharam, one last question. Last question was about, I have a lot of certifications and why should I go safe? Let me just quickly answer that within a minute and then I'll hand it off to you. Yes, I don't remember who asked this question, but yes, great, right? A lot of project, program, portfolio certifications are lovely, including myself. I've got a lot of them. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you can see quite a few of them, right? So I'm a PGMP, I'm a PFMP, as you guys know. So the reason of going towards safe, it will make your mindset different. There's a change in mindset. The mindset will be about customer centricity. It will be more about adding value. It will be more about, yes, in projects we do deliver value, but somewhere the value is lost in the whole cycle of governance and benefits and hierarchies and who's doing what, right? So I'm sure you have worked, I have worked in all these projects. We do deliver our project maybe on time and scope and cost. But at the end of the day, just go back and think, what value have I delivered to my customer? Is the product which I built 3 years back, is it still working in my customer's environment? Okay, so that change of mindset, getting into a design thinking, thinking from a different perspective, right? One man's floor is the other man's ceiling. That's what they say, right? So understanding complex systems, this makes you think from a very different perspective. It will enhance your horizon of thinking. Thanks, Dharam. So I hand it off to you.
Yeah, thank you very much once again, Mansoor. It's a really, really good, presentation and makes a lot of things clear. So people who are interested in joining this bootcamp, virtual bootcamp, the price-wise, it's very reasonable. Actually, when I asked Mansoor why you have this price, he said because in Australian dollar. Then we said we converted in US dollar. It's very, very reasonable price. And top of that, you have $100 discount for early bird. And the time, yes, time can be a little bit challenge, but if you tell us early, if you have enough number, we can move the time to a little bit. Mansoor can wake up early in the morning and they can adjust for the US time zone. So for anybody who's interested, please send me an email or WhatsApp me or maybe LinkedIn me. I will be happy to share the link with you and like to have you get started with this as soon as possible. And my team will send out an email with this video link, and we will put some link for connected with me, or you more than welcome to contact any of us, and we'll love to help you with your Scale Agile or any other training requirement you have for your organization. All right, guys. So thank you very much, Mansoor, for giving us your time, and lovely to have you here, and lovely to have all of you in this session. And I'm seeing many people are coming again. So that means you are learning something exciting from us. So please keep joining us, and see you again. Thank you.
Thanks, Dharam. Thanks, team. All the best.
Yeah. Thank you.